and then let me know who I got to vote for to keep Hitler out the White House. If it's Biden in a coma, I'm going to vote for Biden in a coma.
No, you cannot shoot American citizens. He's going to replace people in the Department of Defense with people who will say you can.
What is the actual injury to Donald Trump's ear that's under that bandage? Shouldn't we know that by now? It's weird. And there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of curiosity about it. The United States has a population of north of 327 million people. Why do we need more kids? Given the stratospheric entrance of Vice President Kamala Harris into the presidential campaign, she's about to make history.
And the rest of us, among the 73 million Americans who voted not to have fascism, autocracy, mass deportation, internment camps, and economy-crushing tariffs, are the bad guys.
Don't care about Joe Biden's age, infirmity, that he shuffled when he walked. I don't care. He could be seated for the rest of from now to Election Day and never get up off a chair. He could sit down. He could roll around in a wheelchair. He could be on a skateboard, seated. I don't care.
This is about power and about picking not Hitler. That's it. That's it. That's me. Okay, now I'm really done. Bye.
Welcome to Joy Reid's most unhinged moments. We're going to see some of her craziest reactions, most ridiculous theories, and some of her oddest faces she makes during her broadcasts while she's hating Trump and Republicans. If you want to see a specific unhinged meltdown, I'll put the different topics or sections down below on the time bar. It's itsSeanDaniel here. If you guys enjoy the videos, consider subscribing or supporting me by joining my YouTube membership down below, hitting that join button, or donating with a super thanks down below. And we're going to start it off with Joy proposing that Trump wasn't even hit by a bullet in Butler, Pennsylvania.
We still don't know for sure whether Donald Trump was hit by a bullet, whether he was hit by glass fragments, whether he was hit by shrapnel. We don't have those details. We actually have no details from his physician, even though this man is still a Secret Service protected, and presidential candidate. We know almost nothing. Why? Why don't we know that much? We know that 3 people were shot. 1 person, unfortunately, was killed at the rally. We don't know where they were sitting or standing relative to him. We don't know why, for 9 full seconds, Donald Trump was allowed to stand back up during an active shooter situation, even though they, at that point, had said the shooter was down. How would they have known if there were more shooters or not? Nobody knew that there could have been 5 shooters for all they knew. Yet they allowed him to stand up in the middle of that, crisis and pose for a photo and fist pump the air so he could get the iconic photo. And then they allowed him to stand up again outside of the SUV instead of just shoving him into the SUV. That seems really unusual. What is the actual injury to Donald Trump's ear that's under that bandage? Shouldn't we know that by now? It's weird. And there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of curiosity about it, in the sort of media world, my profession. It's weird, right? Where are the FOIAs? Why isn't the New York Times aggressively pursuing his medical records? It's just weird. Just a strange thing that I've noticed. And I don't know if you guys have noticed it too, but it's weird.
She makes a good point that Trump should not have been able to stand up and do that photo. Even Dan Bongino has said that with his blah, blah, blah. She does make a good point about Trump not being... Now, she makes a good point that Trump shouldn't have been able to stand up and do his fight, fight, fight photo, because even Dan Bongino, a super conservative podcast host, has said the same thing based on his Secret Service experience. But she's just pissed that Trump had such an iconic moment where they were trying to take him out, and he turned it around into this amazing campaign leverage moment. She's pissed.
These 2 men are both elderly. Donald Trump is an elderly man who, for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day. But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID Should he be fine in a couple of days? Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing? That he's strong enough, older than Trump, to have gotten something that used to really be fatal to people his age. So if he does fine out of it and comes back and is able to do rallies, isn't that exactly the same?
I
mean, it's not exactly the same. It's not the same incident, but it's an elderly man coming through out of an illness.
She just compared Biden recovering from COVID to Trump recovering from getting shot. Even her co-host was like, that's not the smartest take there, Joy.
Remember, Mark Esper, who was Donald Trump's Secretary of Defense for a while, told him, no, you cannot shoot American citizens. You can't have the military shoot American citizens. He's going to replace people in the Department of Defense with people who will say you can, and that you can deploy the military against protesters, that you can arrest journalists for reporting things that Donald Trump doesn't like, that sort of thing, right?
She's literally suggesting Trump wants to shoot citizens that disagree with him? What? Also, if protesters are so out of line and they're being destructive and they're causing destruction to businesses, historical landmarks, the military and the police should be able to do what they need to do to protect other citizens, to protect landmarks, to protect businesses. But that's so evil.
Y'all just tell me who the nominee is going to be. Let me know when you guys are finished fighting amongst yourselves who I got to vote for in November to keep Hitler out the White House. That's all I want to know. Who I got to vote for to keep Hitler out the White House. Y'all do your thing. Play in traffic all you want in front of these Republicans, acting a fool in front of these people instead of privately declaring your stuff. But don't text me no more, because I'm not taking no more of these texts. Just let me know when you guys are finished figuring it out, Democrats, because I know y'all the freak out people. Go ahead and freak out, have your conversation, and then let me know who I got to vote for to keep Hitler out the White House. That's it. I'm done. Oh, and by the way, if it's Biden in a coma, I'm going to vote for Biden in a coma. I don't even really particularly like the guy. A lot of his policies, don't like him. He's not Donald Trump, right? Yeah. Hitler, White House. We keeping him out. Keeping Project 2025 out. That's all I care about. Up and down the ballot, from the rooter to the tutor. School board, all the way up to White House and everything in between. Governors, members of Congress. I'm just going to vote all the way down to keep these people out. The Project 2025 thing is the whole Republican Party. At this point, it's not about Biden. It is not about him. It's above me now. There's a Best Western next door. It is about keeping Donald Trump and his Project 2025 friends out of power. And another thing, I've always got another thing. You guys do know that in 2020, y'all Democrats had choices of young people. You had a young LGBTQ guy, Mayor Pete. You had a Latino. You had Kamala Harris. You had Liz Warren. You had all these choices that were all younger than Biden, fresher and newer than Biden. And you know who y'all picked to be the president and the nominee? Joe Biden. He beat all the young people. So, yes, we have a gerontocracy problem on the Democratic side. Way too many of these oldie goldies that don't seem to want to sit down and retire. But when given the choice between the young and fresh and Joe Biden, y'all picked Joe Biden. That was what you picked. So he's in there because Democrats actually picked him in the first place. So just keep that in mind, that you've been given options in the past, and this is what you picked. And nobody stepped up to choose to run against him in the primary. So once again, Democrats went out and voted and picked. If you try to undo that choice, like 57 million some odd Democrats voted in these primaries, so what are you going to do? You're going to just tell them, F off, we're going to pick somebody different that's not him, or Kamala Harris, who was on that ticket too, on those ballots? That's not democracy. This choice has been made. And so again, unless he decides to walk away, this is your choice. It's like when you go to a wedding, you got chicken or fish. You can eat chicken or fish or just be hungry. Or like when I was growing up in my house, it's what mom made for dinner or go to bed. There's your choices. You don't always get choices that you love. You get what mom made for dinner or take your ass to bed. And in this case, it's either what mom made for dinner or Hitler. I'm voting for whoever ain't Hitler, and it ain't him. And I'm going all the way down that ballot, rooted to the tutor, school board, up to the White House. This is about power and about picking not Hitler. That's it. That's it. That's me. Okay, now I'm really done. Bye.
This is how ridiculous these people are. She'd rather pick Joe Biden in a coma and admit that than Trump. That's almost as ridiculous as the claim that Trump is Hitler. comparing Trump to a guy who put people in concentration camps and killed around 6 million people just in that. You guys can fact check me on that, but... And the most ironic thing, I bet in 2020, she was full support of Biden once he got the nomination. Now she wants to talk like, oh, he's too old. Why did they do that? She falls in line too.
It's above me now. It's above Joe Biden now. Don't care about Joe Biden's age, infirmity, that he shuffle when he walk. I don't care. He could be seated for the rest of, from now to election day, and never get up off a chair. He could sit down. He could roll around in a wheelchair. He could be on a skateboard, seated. I don't care. Donald John Trump cannot be allowed back into the White House. You put him in the White House, combined with this court and a Republican House and Senate, we're done, y'all. All the rights that were won in the 20th century, the hard-earned rights of women, laborers, workers, the rights of children. Remember, child labor used to be legal. The rights of black folks, forget that. The rights of non-white immigrants, forget that. All of the 20th century, they are trying to repeal the entire 20th century, and they're doing it fast. Between them and these crazy Republican governors, they are repealing the American century, the 20th century, because they don't like it and they want back the 19th century. The century when super rich white men, unchecked and untaxed, amassed great wealth, passed it down with no taxation to their descendants, and pretended that they had earned it on their own, that they were just masters of the universe. They want that era back. They think that the 20th century was an abomination, and they are dismantling it. They're coming for every single one of our rights. They're not done. They're not done. If you love having your freedom, having the freedom for contraception, LGBTQ rights, that's going too. If you don't think they're coming for Obergefell, if you don't think they're coming for all these rights, then you are delusional. They're coming for all of it. They're dismantling the 20th century. They are repealing the 20th century. This ain't about Joe Biden anymore, y'all. It ain't about his policies. There are a lot of them I disagree with. There's a lot of them I disagree with deeply, deeply, morally. But it's not, it's above me now. It's above him now. You cannot allow Republicans to control the White House, the House, and the Senate, and the Supreme Court, and all of these states. You're now voting for your life. You must vote. Listen to Taraji P. Henson, y'all. Project 2025. They've now just implemented it from the court. You don't even need it now. You have this court, plus Trump, plus the House, plus the Senate, plus all these states. Y'all better vote for your lives in November. I'm gone. Y'all be good. And God, good luck and God bless. For real, for real.
We did vote for our lives in November. That's why we voted red. That's why we voted for Trump. What rights is he trying to take away that the 20th century established? She literally can't name one. Even if you want to talk about abortion, they just gave the rights to choose on the abortion thing back to the states. But all the other stuff, women, blacks, what is she talking about? And it shows you the level of these people wow, that was good. And it shows you how ridiculous these people are, that they'd be willing to put someone in charge of the United States, in charge of war decisions, in charge of big executive orders. They'd be willing to put somebody in power who can't even handle a speech. They wouldn't even put him in charge of their kids' soccer team, but they'd put him in charge of the country. Damn, I got a lot of these. Holy fuck. I'm going to be here like an hour.
Can you explain it to me? Explain it like I'm 5. Why do you want that person to be president?
Even if I explain it to you like you're 5, you still wouldn't understand it.
And don't tell me because you had more money when he was president. That's not possible. We were in a recession. We literally, the economy was trash.
Oh my.
Because of COVID. And even before that, the economy was Obama's economy. He literally just rode in on Obama's economy. He didn't do anything to change the economy.
Oh yeah.
He was just living under Obama's economy and golfing every week.
Oh.
And doing literally nothing. So it was Obama's economy. He just rode in on it. So he didn't do anything to make the economy better. Like, the economy did not get better. It's just bullshit to say you had more money. That's not possible, because during COVID, you had no money because no one was working. You were home in your basement. Can you explain it to me? Why you wanted to be president? Make it make sense. I mean, Kamala Harris, she actually is qualified to be president.
Oh, yeah.
She was an attorney general. She was a prosecutor. She was a United States senator. And she's promising to literally go after the people who are gouging your rent. She's promising to literally give you $25,000 to get a home, to purchase a home, and to go after the people who are jacking up the rent.
So Kamala was a great candidate because she was willing to implement socialist policies to control prices. So they're just openly admitting they want government to control free market things so that we don't have free markets. And oh, let's just hand out handouts to more people. What's that going to do? Rise inflation, rise taxes. Hope I explained that like you're 5, Joy.
And to find out that literally Barack Obama's 2 terms as president are your reparations, and Juneteenth, which you already celebrated anyway, is your reparations, and yet you built this country. You literally physically built this country, and yet the attitude toward you from a lot of your peers and your fellow citizens is just shut up and be grateful.
None of that happened to Joy. None of the stuff that our ancestors faced that were negative, that were persecution, that were a lack of opportunity, that doesn't affect us now. So we're not looking for, oh my God.
Hey fam, okay, I just gotta say it. I just gotta say it.
What?
Given the just stratospheric entrance of Vice President Kamala Harris into the presidential campaign, and she has now secured enough delegates to become the nominee.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna look real crazy being on the other side of that line, particularly as a person of color. But really as anyone who claims to have any connection to the culture. You really are gonna look crazy being on that side, given the cultural phenomenon of Vice President Kamala Devi Harris.
Cultural phenomenon? What? They want to compare her to like Martin Luther King Jr.
She's about to make history.
Mm-hmm.
She's about to become the first woman president. She brings together the African American community, the AAPI community, younger people. She is a whole meme.
The only thing she's going to make history in is being the first woman candidate to get her ass kicked in an election, because that was an ass whooping.
She brings together all of the aspects of the culture. HBCUs, she's a Howard graduate.
Oh.
The Divine Nine, she's an AKA.
Oh.
She is a woman of color extraordinaire. She would be the first, person from HBCU, regular real world, to be president of the United States, in addition to being the first woman president, in addition to being the first black woman president, in addition to being the first AAPI president. She's bringing it all.
That's true.
And very importantly, she will be the first woman president after the fall of Roe v. Wade. A woman who brings women back to power after having our power stripped from us by 6 far right wingers on the Supreme Court, including one woman who turned on us. Baby, this is a cultural moment. Don't be on the wrong side of history.
Okay.
Don't find yourself on that lonely side, because you're going to look real crazy over there with Kid Rock.
Well, apparently 70 plus million people did not get the memo about being on the right side of a cultural phenomenon. Y'all seen the rallies she hosts? Ain't no cultural phenomenon going on right there. The only cultural phenomenon going on is how the hell Joy Reid has a national television show. That's a cultural phenomenon. I can't explain how, other than to allow me to make these videos of her.
There is something wonderfully poetic about the fact that despite the fact that even if convicted, he's not going to go to prison, the first person to actually criminally prosecute Donald Trump is a black Harvard grad, the very kind of person that his former staff, the people who worked for him, Stephen Miller, et cetera, want to never be at Harvard Law School. But he was. And he came out and graduated. He's prosecuting you, Donald. And a black woman is doing that same exact thing in Georgia. And a black woman forced you to pay a $175 million fine that's out now also in question, because the people who put it up, that might not be legit. Donald Trump is being held to account by the very multicultural, multiracial democracy that he's trying to dismantle. And for me, there's something poetic and actually wonderful about that. It says something good about our country that we're still capable of having that happen. Go DEI. My DEIs are bringing it home on today.
It's actually sad because if Joy Reid ever got in legal trouble and she hired a lawyer, she would hire a black lawyer that is trash over a white lawyer that's good. And then she'd lose a case, face penalties, maybe jail time. She's that dumb. Like, oh my God, Trump. You guys already know he's not racist like they say, but to think someone is so great and so quality just because of their race, you'd be surprised. There's some white boys that can play some good basketball. Hey, it's pretty rare though. It's pretty rare. We know.
Hey, I just want to give some free advice to the white progressives, particularly white progressive women who may be thinking about marching against the Trump victory, maybe putting back on the P-word hats and doing that thing. I would just say probably don't send any of those invites to any black women you know. I'm just going to tell you right now, they're not coming. I'm pretty sure black women have resigned from the Save America Coalition, Save Democracy Coalition, and definitely the Save the Democratic Party Coalition. I think that's probably not happening. I would just keep those invites maybe among your own friends because I don't think they're coming. But yeah, I think black women are now on the Save Black Women, Prioritize Black Men, and prioritize black communities, black businesses, and that. And, you know, the black spaces, but Save America, Save the Democratic Party. Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
All because they didn't vote for a black female president. Now they're like, oh, we've been so marginalized. We have to protect ourselves. What a terrible way to think about yourself.
They're voting on race. They're voting on this idea of an invasion of brown people over the border. The idea that they can't get whatever job they want. A black person got it, therefore drive all the blacks out of the colleges, get rid of DEI. That is what they're voting on. They're just voting specifically on racial animus at this stage. It isn't about economics.
No,
It's not racial animus. It's animus against illegal activities, against disrespecting the country, against breaking laws. Is Joy wearing a MAGA shirt right there?
The United States has a population of north of 327 million people. Why do we need more kids? I mean, your party, Senator Tuberville, is the one screaming that 10 million immigrants, which I don't even know that number even makes any sense because it doesn't.
Secretary Mayorkas said in a testified hearing, he said between 10 and 11. So it's not a fake number if even your liberal secretary Mayorkas said that.
Have streamed into the country since Joe Biden has been president, and you're claiming that that's too many people, that if more people come into the southern border, this is some sort of crisis because we've got too many people and we've got no more space and we can't afford more people. But now you're saying we need more kids? Can you explain who's the we and what's the purpose? You're also a senator from the state of Alabama. God help the people there. Are you saying the state of Alabama needs more kids? Why does the state of Alabama need more kids? More kids for what? There was a time when the state of Alabama absolutely needed more kids because, you know, Alabama was a slave state. And the mandate of the planter class in Alabama was for black women to produce more kids because those kids were property and they could work more kids and make more money on their plantations. Are you saying the state of Alabama needs more kids because you think that those populations will include people who are maybe destitute and desperate enough if you kick out the immigrants like a lot of y'all want to do and you could make them do the work that the migrants are doing now? Because that kind of sounds slavery-ish. Is the state of Alabama the we? And is that the why? I mean, you're also a white guy. Are you saying the we is white folks need more kids? Is this like a great replacement thing where you're concerned that there's not enough white people in the population versus the growth of the Latino population, the black population, the Asian American population? And so the we is white people need to make white women have more kids, and That's the we and that's the why, because it's a little creepy.
The only thing creepy is always making everything about race and not being able to just let go of what happened in the past that does not directly affect you. Was Senator Tuberville or all these other people in power ones that owned slaves? No, that was hundreds of years ago. But she just can't get rid of that. People like her will create racism where there is absolutely zero. You won't even be talking about race and they'll make it up. You could be arresting her for destroying a building, vandalizing a building. Like, oh, is it because I'm black? No, Joy.
Keeping that insane ideology of white Christian nationalism and white supremacy and white male Christian dominance out of power. That's all that matters. I genuinely don't care who the Democratic nominee is. And I'm being real. I don't care. If it's Biden, fine. If it's Kamala Harris, fabulous, right? But it's going to be one of the two of them. Let's just not play crazy games now. There are rules the way that this process works. It's one of the two of them. Either one, I don't care. Or if you want to parachute somebody else in and they not him, they not the orange one, they not the one who quotes Hitler, fine, put him in, I don't care. That means anything with the R on it is toxic. Anything with the R on it is going to take your birth control. Anything with the R on it is going to make you register and take the military preparatory test in high school so that you're ready to be deployed on the streets of the United States to shoot Americans who are protesting. They're going to take away your education. They're going to take away your opportunity to go to college. They're going to take away your books, your history. They're going to take away your right to even know the history of this country. They're going to replace it with so-called patriotic education. They're going to get rid of the Department of Education, meaning no more Pell Grants, no more money for school, no more student loans, no more equality for girls' sports. All of it gone. Replaced with this white Christian nationalist insanity. Nothing else matters but stopping Trump, the Republican Party, and Project 2025 in November. You have 119 days to get right with that.
What's wrong with white Christian nationalism? Being proud about your country, actually having principles, not sitting there and accepting everything. And I would argue that Trump and the MAGA movement has actually moved the Republican Party back to being the Republican Party versus just being rhinos and trying to be all about the military-industrial complex, taking all these lobbyist deals. I would argue the reverse is happening compared to what she's saying. Keep smiling, Joy. Now, here's one of my favorite ones of hers. It's actually incredibly well written and scripted, but totally off basis about not spending time with people who voted for Trump at Thanksgiving, even if they're your family members. No.
So apparently, the people who voted for the I will protect women whether they like it or not, childless women should have no rights, Puerto Rico is trash island, and Haitians will eat your pets gang are the real victims, despite their guy winning the election. In fact, they are now the modern-day equivalent of Rosa Parks, we're told by a white comedian. Civil rights heroes, the lot of them. And the rest of us, among the 73 million Americans who voted not to have fascism, autocracy, mass deportation, internment camps, and economy-crushing tariffs, are the bad guys, the segregationists of our time. If we, hold on, let me check my notes. Yes. Don't want to have turkey dinner with the people screaming, your body, my choice. Okay. So there is this strong dual energy among MAGA people and their apologists, and it actually fits quite neatly with the history of America. It's equal parts bully energy, where they want to relentlessly troll liberals and lash out at minorities, and victim energy, where those same liberals are supposed to take the trolling quietly and also pity the trolls. It's the eternal victimhood of the conservative. We need to constantly coddle, study, and understand them. No one, not the media, the big thinkers, definitely not the comedians, are required to try to understand liberals and progressives. No. We must seek to understand those on the right, what they really meant by their votes, what they want, what they need. We are the constant handmaidens and wet nurses who are required to baby them, understand them, and serve them dinner. And if we want just a mental health break from their conspiracy theories and complaints about trans people in the bathroom and on the soccer field and in the schools reading to kids at the library and apparently hiding under their beds, we are the ones in the wrong. In short, our dinner, their choice. It's the same energy their forefathers had toward the indigenous tribes. Hey, let's have Thanksgiving dinner on the land we stole from you. But before we pack you off to the reservation and snuff out your culture, could you please pass the corn on the cob? There's the dozens of post-Civil War massacres wiping out black communities from Louisiana to North Carolina to Rosewood, Florida, and Tulsa, Oklahoma, where black communities got burned to the ground by racist white mobs. A century later, gentrified when rich folks want to live downtown because it's closer to work. But let's just call it even, because y'all got King Day, a black president, and Juneteenth. Geez, what more do you want? Accurate history? What, are you trying to hurt our feelings? These are the people who say the undocumented, who they get to call illegal immigrants, like the Pilgrims had permission to come here, have to suffer the consequences of their actions, right? They made the choice to overstay their visas or come into our country illegally, so if they get deported, consequences. But you right-wingers shouldn't have to suffer the consequences of your votes? You don't want to be around me because I voted for fascism. No fair. I'm coughing on you with COVID, but you want me to wear a mask for your safety? No fair. My body, my choice. Well, here's an alternative thought. Make your own dinner, MAGA. Make your own sandwiches. Wipe your own tears. Troll amongst yourselves with Elon and leave us alone. You got your heart's desire, the president you dreamed of, and worship instead of Jesus. And this time, you didn't even have to storm the Capitol, smash the windows, or try to kill police officers or issue death threats to poll workers. See? You did it just by voting this time. Congrats. You got your way. And he even got away with breaking the law. Yay. But if you expect the 73 million who voted for the prosecutor, not the felon, and particularly the 92% of black women who voted for Kamala to give you a cookie for your vote, a trophy, a hug, a high five, you might be asking too much. If we want to eat with you, we will. But if we just want some peace over the holidays and we don't want to put up with your trolling while we eat our tofurkey, get over it. Stop acting like we owe you. And for God's sakes, stop whining. It's embarrassing. Our Thanksgiving. Our choice.
There was so many lies thrown into that well-communicated and super arrogant message that I can't even break them all down. This is just how devilish she is. The arrogance with which she promotes all of these twisted lies that it's even hard to keep track of when you watch this stuff. Like about us being mad and trying to troll liberals. Yeah, because we dealt with all of the media demonizing us. We dealt with every sports figure, music person talking bad about us and trying to praise you guys. That, yeah, we're pissed. We're like, hey, we're going to be cocky kind of about how Trump won. And I don't think that many of us are really worried if super liberals don't want to eat with us. I don't think we really care. But she's so evil. So many of these people are in the media. Look at the smugness on her face while she just throws lies, 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 lies. Now we're going to see her most unhinged moments and most ridiculous stances from election night.
And we begin our final sprint, having arrived at that point in the election season where basically we on this side of the TV screen have said all we can. We've laid out the stakes in this crucial election, where one side stands for freedom while the other meets the textbook definition of fascism, namely a far-right dictatorial regime like Hitler's Germany or Franco's Spain or Mussolini's Italy, but also white-ruled South Africa before Mandela and the black majority took control, or Vladimir Putin's Russia, Viktor Orban's Hungary, or Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela today, that suppresses the rights of women and minorities, uses the military to execute the whims of a strongman dictator, and controls and suppresses the press, education, the arts, rewrites history to suit a favored and dominant racial class, and foments extravagant corruption in order to enrich the dictator and his friends. We've warned you about Donald Trump's profound unfitness for office, from his theft of classified documents and attempted insurrection to his clear cognitive and physical decline, to what he plans to do if he returns to power, threatening to lock up or even execute his political opponents, increasing federal capital punishment and unleashing the police unrestrained, using the military to suppress protests, banning abortion nationwide by enforcing the Comstock Act, persecuting LGBTQ Americans, spiking prices and crashing the economy with across-the-board tariffs that amount to a giant Trump tax on everything you buy that's imported from overseas, firing tens of thousands of dedicated civil servants and putting people in charge of our government like Elon Musk, who has essentially purchased Trump for $75 million. Peter Thiel, who already owns Trump's would-be woman-hating vice president, J.D. Vance. Tom Homan, who vows to deport whole families of immigrants that could include U.S. citizens. Stephen Miller, who seems to dream of the return of internment camps to U.S. soil, along with mass deportation to make America white again. RFK Jr., who Trump has vowed to put in charge of not just women's health, but all of our health. And who this weekend announced that the first order of business will be to end the fluoridation of our water supply, taking us back to an era when childhood cavities and oral disease were rampant. You know, I guess that's before he ends childhood vaccination to, quote, make America healthy again by allowing measles, mumps, and polio to make a comeback alongside the coronavirus. And hell, why not bring back the bubonic plague?
These were the level of the lies, detailed explanations, breakdowns that they were willing to promote and to try to get people to vote the wrong way. But as we're going to see, it really didn't work. And watching their reactions and how they try to twist the blame away from where it should be, it's interesting.
And it's this idea of I want to be with the side that's waving the biggest flag. I want to fit in. And there is a huge element, to be honest, of anti-blackness in a lot of this. Anti-black Americanness specifically. And Paola and I have talked about this, that there is a part of that anti-blackness is a piece of it. Even though Enrique Tarrio, who's the head of the Proud Boys, is a black Latino. But he's down with white supremacists. Down with them. And there's this idea that I'm black, but I'm not black. I may look black to you. I may be black if I'm walking through Bloomingdale's and get followed around. But in my mind, I'm identifying with whiteness because whiteness means privilege and it means not being a black American. This has to be unpacked because this shift among Latino men is significant. And it says something about where we're going in this country, about whether we can create an appeal. There's also, the last thing I will throw in is the creation of the idea that everything that Vice President Harris was proposing is communism. That is a potent argument for a lot of Latinos.
I don't know why they underestimate minorities, thinking that they can't see through the victimization, that they can't see if a candidate is real or not. It's like they think they're stupid. They're actually putting them down. It doesn't make sense.
Black voters came through for Kamala Harris. White women voters did not. That is what it appears happened in that state, is that if you can't flip enough white women, and we've talked about this on this set numerous times, is that you have a state where you've got a 6-week abortion or a 12-week abortion. I think theirs might be 12 weeks.
Yep.
But it's a state where women lost their reproductive rights, where there was a very heavy push to get women to focus on not putting in place, re-electing, putting back into the White House the person who was responsible for taking those rights away and restoring them. But that message obviously was not enough to get enough white women to vote for Vice President Harris, a fellow woman. This will be the second opportunity that white women in this country have to change the way that they interact with the patriarchy. And, God bless Shannon Watts, who has tried to have that conversation. But if people aren't receptive to it, and if people vote more party line or more on race than on gender and on protecting their gender, there's really not much more that you can do but tell people what the risks are and leave it to them to do the right thing. It's tough.
She's trying to grab any reason to make people feel bad because she's seeing projected winner Donald Trump in so many states. And she thinks women are just supposed to vote for a woman because they're a woman and it fights against the patriarchy. Oh my God. When they bring up the patriarchy thing, oh my God, it's ridiculous.
And it was not just Gen X, because while 91% of black women voted for Kamala Harris, 53% of white women overall voted for Trump, despite the open disrespect and demonization hurled by J.D. Vance and the Supreme Court stripping women's bodily autonomy, courtesy of Donald Trump. The breakdown by education was stark. Harris won 57% of white women with college degrees and lost 63% of white women without them. It was also men. Trump won every age group of men, including 60% of Gen X men and 6 in 10 white men. Also Latino men, who despite the utter disrespect shown by Trump and his promise to deport some of your mixed status families, most of them voted in a 55% majority to make the deportations happen. Y'all voted with Stephen Miller and David Duke and against your own sisters and chose Kamala Harris with 60% of their votes. So you own everything that happens to your mixed status families and to your wives, sisters, and abuelas from here on in.
So she's mad that the Latinos voted more for Trump, the men did, than they did for Harris. In my experience, when you're dealing with Latinos, people from Mexico, Central America, the ones that have come here legally, those are the ones that actually have the disdain for the people that come illegally, because they actually did it the right way to be able to come into this country, and then they see these other people freeloading, not respecting the country. Maybe that's why they voted for Trump, you know, but she thinks, oh, just because you're the same race, you got to be supportive. No, in my experience, you guys can let me know what you think, but that's what I've heard. So it was everybody's fault. So it was everybody's fault, according to Joy, why Kamala lost. You know, it was white women, it was Latinos, it was minority women, it was Latino men. She doesn't take any accountability for all the BS she's reported. So it's pretty bad. Hope you guys enjoyed getting to watch Joy Reid's most unhinged moments. It's Sean Daniel here. If you guys enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, donating, joining my YouTube membership, and appreciate you guys watching. I will see you in the next one. You can watch another one right here. Oh, I stopped myself mid-salute, and thank you.